Welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk all about my Brugmansias, what I do with them in the UK, how I grow them, how I get them to flower like this, and how I overwinter them. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So what is a Brugmansia? So a Brugmansia is a non-hardy plant here in the UK, so it will have to be overwintered in a greenhouse or polytunnel or even in the kitchen, anywhere you can really get them. So what I do with mine is I don't cut them down, I actually just strip all the leaves off them and overwinter them like that, and that's purely to do so we can get the size back ready for the next season. So I'll show you a couple of my more mature ones, I'll show you some of my younger ones and what the intentions are for this year, next year, in regards to cuttings and things like that. This is my pink Brugmansia and I've had this for probably about 4 years now. And all I do with this is take off all the green leaves over the winter, right back to a stem. I don't let it dry out, and that is the secret to obviously not dying over winter. Obviously put it in a frost-free place, and I do not let it dry out, so I keep that stem or the moisture in the stem so it doesn't die back to the ground. Now if it were to dry out, which often they can do, they'll just sprout again from the base. But if you want to keep them nice and big, then you need to keep them not wet or moist, just ticking over winter, and that's a sure way to know you'll get the size back ready for the next year. So this Brugmansia, so this size, is a couple of years old for me again. I kept the stem last year. I was a little bit worried because I actually moved house during like the later part of spring and we were still having some heavy frosts. Like I say, this is about 2 years old now, and did exactly the same. Green stems off, kept them watered, and they're looking fantastic. So I think I've got white, pink and yellow. They're like predominantly the main three colours that are more commonly known or readily available. So although they are a brilliant backdrop and a large plant in many of my borders, I've actually got one which I took a cutting of last year. I don't know if you can just spot it. Where are we? Just there. So that was a cutting from last year. It's doing really well, and that was just a bit of a filler plant. Now again, it will flower, so it will probably more than likely get to about 2.5 foot to 3 foot if I don't give it that much feed. If I feed it like Billio, then you can get them up to sort of 5-6 feet in just one season. But in this board I'm not really looking for it to do that, just kind of fill the space and get it in the ground so it can become another staple plant ready for next year. So if we talk flowers, they're not actually open for that long depending on what the weather is doing here in the UK. So if it rains heavily while they're in flower or winds, then you can kiss goodbye to your blooms. If they're in a sheltered spot, they'll certainly do better, but I find in my garden I kind of predominantly put them out so you can really see them, really enjoy them. We get some decent weather, so not too hot because they tend to wilt in the sun. The flowers seem like they've died before they've even started, but they'll do that in the daytime, and it's the night time that they really come alive. So at night the flowers fully open up. That's where they're in full bloom, and they're also like a beautiful scented flower, very similar to jasmine but not quite jasmine. I can't really explain it, but they really do smell beautiful. And my garden at the moment, with the amount of Brugmansias, I'll just show you just around here that I've got in here, it really smells great. Now this is a couple of years old. I'm going to show you what the buds look like when they're small. So that is the flower bud. And they really put out a good show, so I'll probably get around 10 flowers or so over these two stems here, and yeah, I'll be pleased with that. I'm not sure what colour this is, I didn't label them up. I'm guessing the whites did better than the yellows and the pinks got eaten, would you believe? So that's what the flower stems like. So they face downwards when they first come out, and obviously Angles Trumpets, as if they're coming down from heaven, and that's the name. So yeah, that's what they look like. So overwintering this year, these will be going to the polytunnel. Now previous to this I've had them in an unheated conservatory. As long as the frosts aren't touching directly the leaf or the stem, then they'll be absolutely fine. What you can do is you can cut them right back if they get quite big, cut them right back and put them into a shed, a garage, things like that, and just keep them ticking over a little bit of water, and that'll absolutely do the job. So let's talk a little bit about the toxicity of these plants. So they are classed as toxic. Now every part of the plant is toxic. There's a couple of stories on the internet about a guy who made tea from them and they become like an hallucinogenic. So this guy, I think they're native to like Indonesia and places like that. This guy made it into a tea and ended up chopping off his own bits. So wouldn't recommend that. Don't unless you're into that sort of thing, obviously. But yeah, highly don't recommend that. Don't eat it. Don't eat any part of the plant. If you've got young children, then you've got to be careful about the flowers where they drop off. But if you're a keen gardener, you can pick them up straight off the floor once they're finished, or I tend to take them straight off the plant when they start to look a little bit worse for wear. Propagation though, so these are really simple. So there's two ways that I do that. One is drop them straight into water, and the other one is you can go straight into like a multi-purpose compost and keep them nice and wet in a greenhouse or windowsill, and they'll germinate, or say germinate, they will start to grow roots within a matter of about 2 weeks. So really great. I'm going to show you how I do it. Really simple method, and hopefully you guys, if you do get a plant, you can multiply your collection like I've done with mine. Now, would you believe every single plant has got a bud on? Like, and I mean every single plant. So I'm going to show you where I'd normally take the cutting from. I do apologise. And then just drop it straight into water, make sure it doesn't dry out, and then it'll grow roots. And the same for if it goes into compost, just make sure it doesn't dry out. I'm going to show you what I would normally do. It's around 6 inches long, and it will be a clean cut with a sharp pair of scissors or secateurs or knife, and straight into water. I'm going to show you roughly what I'll do, but I can't actually cut any off because A, I don't want to ruin a bud, and B, buds, I'd have to take the bud off anyway because it would just concentrate on trying to flower that particular bud as opposed to growing the roots. So that's a good tip in case you're doing any other gardening. If you tend to take cuttings or think something snapped off, can I make a cutting out of it? You've always got to take the bud off because all it will do is concentrate on doing that. So so I do apologise I can't do that right now. I have got a previous video I'll link down below as to how I took cuttings, and they are really simple. Like I say, this is how I've grown my collection. Off a main shoot, what you do, you can see there the actual main crown, that's the crown of it. I would take it off down to a leaf node, down to about there. I'll show you that. So you've got about 6 inches, and then take the bottom leaves off, cut it nice and drop it straight into some water. And finally, flowering. So if you're lucky, you'll get 2 rounds out of it. So you'll get it sort of early summer. So we're in middle of July now, coming towards the end of July. Sorry, but normally it's a little bit earlier because we've had quite a cold season this year. And then if we're lucky, we'll get one later on. Whether we will this year with the season being cold at the start, I hope so. So we're talking September time, we should get a second flush. So it's normally twice a year. Once they've finished flowering, I highly recommend that. No pruning, nothing like that. Just give them lots and lots of food. So lots of seaweed feed. Alternative to seaweed, you can have like the Miracle Grow or tomato food or anything like that. Anything liquid based is absolutely fine for these. There we have it. So that brings me to the end of my video. So thank you very much for watching if you made it this far. If you liked it, then please do give it a big thumbs up. It really does help the channel out, and subscribe if you're not already. On a real journey, and I hope you can join me. So until next time, I'll see you in the garden. Now, I am lucky enough to have my own polytunnel, and I bought this last year. No, sorry, I'm lying. I bought it this year just for when I moved because we're having quite late frosts. So until next time, I'll see you in the garden.